Hi Year 4, Mrs. Ellis here. I hope you're all well and keeping safe. I'm going to give you a video here to explain what your work pack's all about. It's all linked this week to the BFG written by Roald Dahl. Hopefully this is a book you've come across before. If not, you've got all the information included in the pack, so don't worry. I'm going to start this video with reading the two sections for your Day 1 and Day 2 reading comprehensions. So please sit back and enjoy. Here's the first section. This is giant country, the BFG said. Those is all giants, every one. It was a brain-boggling sight. The giants were all naked except for a sort of skirt around their waists, and their skins were burnt brown by the sun. But it was the sheer size of each one of them that boggled Sophie's brain most of all. They were simply colossal. Far taller and wider than the big friendly giant upon whose hand she was now sitting. And oh, how ugly they were. Many of them had large bellies. All of them had long arms and big feet. They were too far away for their faces to be seen clearly, and perhaps that was a good thing. What on earth are they doing? Sophie asked. Nothing, said the BFG. They is just moochling and foochling about round and waiting for the night to come. Then they will be galloping off to places where people is living to find their suppers. That's that section. The second section, Sophie is curious because, I don't know if you're aware of the story or not, but most of the giants in Giant Country eat humans, but not the BFG. So Sophie wants to know more about this. But if you don't eat people like all the others, Sophie said, then what do you live on? That is a squelching, tricky problem around here, the BFG answered. It's a slosh-flunking giant country. Happy eats like pineapples and pigwinkles is simply not growing. Nothing is growing except for one extremely icky poo vegetable. It is called a snozzcumber. The snozzcumber? Cried Sophie. There's no such thing. The BFG looked at Sophie and smiled, showing about 20 of his square white teeth. Yesterday, he said, we was not believing in giants, was we? Today, we is not believing in snozzcumbers. Just because we happen not to have actually seen something with our own two little winkles, we think it is not existing. What about, for instance, the great squizzly Scotch hopper? I beg your pardon, Sophie said. And the humple crimp. What's that? Sophie said. And the rap rascal. The what? Sophie said. And the crumpscoodle. Are they animals? Sophie asked. They is common animals, said the BFG contemptuously. I is not a very know-all giant myself, but it seems to me that you is an absolutely know-nothing human being. Your brain is full of rotten wool. You mean cotton wool, Sophie said. What I mean and what I say is two different things, the BFG announced rather grandly. I will now show you a snozzcumber. The BFG flung open a massive cupboard and took out the weirdest looking thing Sophie had ever seen. It was about half as long again as an ordinary man, but was much thicker. It was as thick around its girth as a perambulator. It was blackened with white stripes along its length, and it was covered all over with coarse knobbles. Here is a repulsant snozzcumber, cried the BFG. And that's the second section. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want snozzcumber for my tea. Okay, Year 4. Now in your pack, as you know, you have a SPaG section, and I'm going to go through it a couple of the activities with you now to get us going. Now I know this is something that you do regularly in your English lessons, where you have a sentence that's got many mistakes in, and you correct them. Now in your pack it asks asks you to write the sentence out in your best handwriting, correct it. Before I get to that stage, I'm going to circle all the bits that I think are wrong. So my sentence says, what are Snoscumbered? Asked Sophie. So as you can see, there are several mistakes. To begin my sentence, I need a capital letter, so I'm going to put a circle around that W because it needs correcting. Also, what are Snoscumbered is clearly a question, so there should be a question mark in there. What are Snoscumbered? Asked Sophie. That asked Sophie tells me that Sophie is saying this piece of the sentence. Therefore, I will need speech marks. Asked Sophie. There's one more mistake that I have spotted, which is Sophie, which is her name, a proper noun, needs a capital letter. I'm going to go back and check now. What are Snoscumbered? Asked Sophie.